Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar called Happiness, Engagement, and Adult Learning. My name is Margaret Grabowski, and I am the Assistant Director of Alumni Relations at Lewis University. I am pleased to introduce Megan Wozniak, who will share her research on how happiness in the workplace can increase employee engagement, which has numerous benefits not only to the employees, but to the organization as a whole. Megan has earned both her undergraduate and master's degrees from Lewis University. In 2009, she earned her undergrad in history and secondary education, and just this past May, she earned her master's in organizational leadership. She's a very active member of our Alumni Association board, and she currently works as a teacher. Now, throughout her webinar this afternoon, if you have any questions, please feel free to email them to alumni@lewisu.edu. It is my pleasure to introduce Megan Wozniak, who will lead us in our webinar.
And I'm presenting on happiness, engagement, and adult learning today. I became interested in this when I was learning about positive psychology in my classes for my organizational leadership program, and I was interested in why some people are happier than others and how I could become happier myself. So here is the presentation. My research question is, are happy employees more engaged? So the first topic I researched is happiness. And according to Ben Shahar in 2007, he defined happiness as an overall experience of pleasure and meaning. It does not just pertain to a single moment, but to a generalized collection of one experiences. So a person can endure emotional pain at times and still be happy overall. The VIA, or the Values in Action Character Strengths, created a survey of a list of strengths that would increase a person's happiness, and these include curiosity, or an interest in the world, zest, or enthusiasm and energy, the capacity to love and be loved, forgiveness, such as mercy, gratitude, hope, optimism, and future-mindedness. And they created these activities to boost happiness. According to Lubomirsky in 2011, increasing research evidence supporting Aristotle's 2 millennial-old argument that happiness is the whole aim and end to human existence. In almost every culture examined by researchers, people rank happiness as one of their most cherished goals in life. In a sweeping meta-analysis of 225 academic studies, Sonia Lubomirsky and Laura King and Ed Diner found that happy employees have, on average, 31% higher productivity, their sales are 37% higher, and their creativity is 3 times higher. Acor, another prominent researcher, stated that lenses shape reality. If we can change the lens, then we can change the reality. However, society focuses on the negative examples in life. So if you watch the news, they generally focus on murders, corruption, and diseases. This emphasis teaches the brain to think negatively. He believes that by focusing on positivity, people will become more positive. Also, there's the medical school syndrome. So a lot of medical students feel that they come down with all these different types of syndromes, and it's because they're being conditioned to this. So brain research shows that there is an actual happiness advantage. The brain performs better when thinking positively. People have more energy, increased creativity, better and more secure jobs, better keeping skills, superior productivity, more resilience, less burnout, less turnover, greater sales, and the brain actually works harder, more successfully, and faster. Furthermore, when people are happier, dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter that sends signals to other nerve cells, floods into the system and turns on all learning centers in the brain. It is possible for the brain to rewire so people can become more optimistic and successful. So people can learn how to increase their own happiness. Overall, happiness is dependent on the person and is different for everyone. People can learn to become happier though. So here is the subjective happiness scale, and Sonia Lubomirsky created this so that we can see how happy you are. And now that we've defined happiness, you can see how happy you are. So if you look at these questions, The first one asks, I consider myself 1 being not very happy person and all the way to 7 being a happy person. Number 2, compared with most of my peers, I consider myself 1 being less happy, all the way to 7 being more happy. 3, some people are generally very happy. They enjoy life regardless of what is going on. They get the most out of everything. To what extent does this characterization describe you? 1 being not at all, and 7 being a great deal. 4, some people are generally not very happy. Although they are not depressed, they never seem as happy as they might be. To what extent does this characterization describe you? 1 being not at all, and 7 being a great deal. So, now that we've rated your happiness, we can improve upon it. So what actually determines happiness? So the 50% is the set point, and that is genetically predetermined. Those are your genes, and that's what you're given. There's 10%, which is the darkest purple color, and that's circumstances. So that can increase your happiness if you get married, if you buy a house, or if you move. The 40%, which is the kind of blue color, is our greatest opportunity to increase happiness. And that is by doing intentional activities that you have control over. These require effort, and some examples include learning a foreign language, working out, or writing a gratitude letter. According to Lubomirski, Sheldon, and Chicade in 2005, what are the most general recommendations for increasing happiness suggested by our motto? Simply, happiness seekers might be advised to find new activities to become engaged in, preferably activities that fit their values and interests. They should make a habit out of initiating the activity while at the same time varying their focus and timing in terms of the way they implement the activity. People might be advised to avoid basing their happiness on the acquisition of particular circumstances or objects. For example, buying a luxury car or moving to California, because they will tend to habituate to such stable factors. The next topic that I was interested in researching is employee engagement. Macy and Schneider in 2008 found employee engagement involves behavioral engagement and trait engagement. It's a psychological state of engagement. Employee engagement is a desirable condition and has an organizational purpose. It connotates involvement, commitment, passion, enthusiasm, focused effort, and energy, so it has both attitudinal and behavioral components. The antecedents of such attitudes and behaviors are located in conditions under which people work, and the consequences are thought to be of value to organizations. Keller in 2011 defined employee engagement as the unlocking of employee potential to drive high performance. Employees join great companies but quit bad managers. The key driver of engagement is the relationship with managers. If line managers are disengaged, employees are 4 times more likely to be disengaged. Leaders can't motivate employees for the long term. They must create motivational cultures. Leaders need to understand the different intrinsic motivational drivers of their employees. A key engagement driver is empathy. Leaders will get more effort when employees think leaders care about them as people. And now I'll explain the picture. So in 2012, Cadillac and Haddon created the Contented Cows model. And they created this employee engagement model based on a simple dairy farm concept. Dairy farmers realized when cows are treated well, the cows produce more milk, which provides better results for the farmers. They applied the dairy finding to the workplace. In fact, they provided numerous examples of what happens when employers treat employees well. When employees are treated well, they are more productive and creative. They defined contented cows as committed, cared about, and enabled. Committed employees stand behind the organization's purpose and objectives. They believe in the cause and they understand how they fit into the organization. Cared about employees are treated well. They're listened to, told the truth, and the little things are taken care of. For example, knowing someone's name. Lastly, enabled employees have autonomy, so the leader does not get in the employee's way. The organization implements useful policies rather than useless policies, and the leader trusts the employees to do their job. Disengaged employees cost organizations a great deal of money and relate to other problems including retention, absenteeism, and many more. This PDAC cycle is an employee engagement model, so let me explain it. Disengaged employees cost organizations excess money every year. They underperform work tasks and create customer dissatisfaction. Rampersad addressed the need for employee engagement and well-being and created strategies for employers to implement. The Personnel Balance Scorecard, or PBSC, is a new personal approach to non-work and work performance founded on self-examination. The thinking process and mindset change that provide its basis are designed to prepare you for action and just as important for inner involvement in your work. The two together foster resolution, passion, and energy. Overall, he discovered that it is important for employers to realize employee well-being matters and plays a large role in productivity. Self-examination is the key to sustaining employee engagement. In 2006, Rampersad stated, "The alignment of the personal ambition with the shared organizational ambition is central to the purpose of commitment, trust, inner involvement, stress and burnout reduction, stimulation of enjoyment, active participation, motivation, and empowerment of employees. It has to do with reaching a higher degree of matching between personal objectives, which is expressed in the PBSC, and organizational objectives, which are expressed in the Organizational Balance Scorecard, or the OBSC. The PBSC, or the Performance-Based Scorecard, prepares for action, and it's used as a mirror to become more self-assured, and it allows people to think more clearly, and it gives people insight into themselves. So therefore, linking personal ambition and organizational ambition increases employee engagement, which benefits the organization. So the plan part says to formulate your PBSC and perform the exercises. The do part is to start with a simple action, simple objective, and list its improvement action. Choose a person that you trust, and be committed to your objective. The act part is to check to see if the improvement action is working and make any adjustments. And the challenge part is to accept challenges by selecting more difficult objectives and moving on. The adult learning theory, or Andragogy as some people know it, is described by Forrest III and Peterson in 2006 as dedicated to teaching humans who perform socially productive roles and have assumed primary responsibility for their own lives. Thus, while pedagogy focuses on the issues of children, the andragogical mindset puts primacy on the issues of application of knowledge to real life. Adult learners learn very differently from younger learners. Adult learners are self-directed, they have many roles in addition to learning, and they usually have families and other responsibilities. Adult learners are also self-directed, and they need to include experience in their learning. They require learning to be meaningful. And lastly, adult learners take responsibility for their own learning. Knowles in 1989 addressed that there sometimes is a resistance to learning, especially from adults, and he believes human resources professionals should train employees rather than other members of the organization like managers. So clearly, the adult learning theory applies to the workplace, especially with regards to training. So let's compare pedagogy and andragogy. Adult learners need to understand why they're learning, and this affects their interest and transfer of learning. In contrast, children do not necessarily care what they're learning about. Usually they just enjoy learning. However, this tends to change in high school. So a lot of times you'll hear high school students asking, why do I need to learn this? I'm never going to use this in real life. And that's when they're becoming more of an adult learner and getting the adult learning mindset. It is essential for organizations to understand the concept of adult learning so organizations thrive. So now I have a challenge for you. And this is from the VIA Character Strengths. And this is an activity to boost your own happiness and an activity especially designed to boost your curiosity. So I'd like you to think of an activity that you dislike. This could be washing dishes, paying bills, or folding laundry. Next time you're engaging in this unpopular activity, focus on 3 novel or unexpected features of the action. For instance, if your low-interest activity is dishwashing, maybe focus on the smell of the soap, the heaviness of the pot, and the warmth of the sudsy water. And if you can find one thing that's surprising about this humdrum or boring activity, you can increase your own happiness. So now, we can create happiness. One day when I was at lunch at a Chinese restaurant, after I had eaten my food, I received a fortune at the end of my meal, and it said, "Don't pursue happiness, create it." And it was very fitting because it was right before I was doing a happiness presentation. So, I would like you to think about what is one action that you can implement to create happiness with your own organization. And it could just be something as simple as holding the door open for somebody when they're coming in. So take a minute to think about that. And if you need some help, I have some ideas for you. So, ACORE stated in 2012, training your brain to be positive is not so different from training your muscles at the gym. Recent research on neuroplasticity, which is the ability of the brain to change even in adulthood, reveals that as you develop new habits, you rewire the brain. Engaging in one brief positive exercise every day for as little as 3 weeks can have a lasting impact. And some ideas that you can use to boost your own happiness are to write down 3 things that you're grateful for, write a positive support message to someone in your social support network. You could meditate at your desk for 2 minutes. You could exercise for 10 minutes. Or you could take 2 minutes to describe and write down your most meaningful experience of the past 24 hours. And those have been proven to boost happiness if you do them for 3 weeks or more. Here are some resources that I used when I was doing my research. The first one is the Contented Cows website, and they provide more engagement information for you, and they also provide videos. Sean Acore, he has a wonderful website, and he includes many resources, including articles. He has his TED Talk on there. He offers training, and then he also has books and videos. Sonia Lubomirski, on her website, she has the Subjective Happiness Scale, if you're interested in that. She also has articles, and then she lists her books that she wrote as well. The VIA, or the Values in Action, Character Strengths, they offer a survey to determine your own strengths, and then they also offer research. And lastly, here's the University of Pennsylvania. They have the Authentic Happiness website, and you can learn more about positive psychology, which is basically the study of happiness. You can take questionnaires, watch videos, and more. And those are all the references that I used. So thank you for listening and watching my webinar.
Well, thank you, Megan. That was wonderful. I'm definitely going to try the 2-minute meditation at my desk to increase my happiness at work. So that was wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you again for joining us today. If you'd like to join us for our next webinar, it will be taking place on Wednesday, July 9th at 1 p.m. The topic is Making the Most Out of Networking, and it will be hosted by our Director of Alumni Relations, Reggie Bustinza. So we hope to see you then. Thanks, and have a great day.